Even our new member, Director Wilkins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sitting in the front row.
And I got
Oh,
moved
you
to the
kinda
front
moved
row
right, you
really
moved right up
quick.
to the front row.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just kind of go where they tell me, Mayor.
We needed to put you beside the legal, so she
I
can.
told him, you know how the teachers make the bad kids sit close by him? That's why he's there.
Okay.
That's why he's there.
I've been wanting to sit next to Marty.
And we welcome the rest of you who have joined us this evening, and especially our royalty and the Lions Club. So we'll start this evening by having the Miss Pleasant Grove royalty come forward and introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, we are so excited to be here. My name is Brooklyn Allen. I'm currently a senior at Pleasant Grove High School, and I'll be attending Utah State University this fall, majoring in psychology.
Brooklyn, where do you live?
Pleasant Grove, first time in 7 years, I heard.
My name is Kinsey Robbins. I am a sophomore at Brigham Young University. I'm hoping to get into the business program and study experience design and management and be able to further my career in that aspect.
So a quiz. I'm going to quiz everyone. Who's your new basketball coach?
Oh,
Do you know?
No.
You came
I
from
should
Utah.
know this.
Came from Utah Valley.
Oh, well done.
There we go. She covered.
Kinsey.
You're good.
Yes.
Mark Pope.
Mark Pope. Got it. I'm also from Pleasant Grove. Got that one right?
Wait, what was your favorite sport in high school?
Oh, I played on the high school soccer team.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. I played with your daughters.
Mine are not royalty.
You can lift that up.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, sorry. My name's Kennedy Austin. I'm also from Pleasant Grove. I'm attending Utah Valley University. I'm a freshman, and I'm applying to the nursing program this fall. So.
Oh. And do you know who the new basketball coach is at UVU? Oh, well done.
It was a great hire.
Yes.
We're not going to be this difficult for everybody, I promise.
Oh, yes, we will. This is a work session.
Hi, I'm Belinda Tapia. I'm currently a senior at Pleasant Grove High School, and I'll be attending Dixie State University in the fall, studying social science to become a social worker in the juvenile justice system.
Oh,
What's-
very nice.
Yeah.
What is their mascot down there?
Trailblazers.
Okay. That's they changed it. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, did you see how fast?
I know.
Rebels.
She got the buzzer beater.
I am from Pleasant Grove, too.
Wow.
We're not going to boo if you're from London. It's okay.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Isabella Adams. I'm also from Pleasant Grove.
Oh.
I'm at Pleasant Grove High School right now. I'm a senior. I will be attending Utah State in the fall in fine arts education.
And do you know who your basketball coach is?
I don't.
Actually, Mayor, do you?
I know.
Okay, well, we are so excited to serve Pleasant Grove this year, and we want to be here as much as we can for all of you. So if there's anything that we can do to help you and serve you, then contact our awesome director, Kim, and we will be there. And we're so excited, so thank you for letting us come.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, you guys, this is going to be fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You and smart.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Thanks, boss
Strawberry
lady.
red on.
Strawberry red.
Nice to have people like you representing
Oh, they all stood up. We're jerks.
We weren't expecting that.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we will now turn time to our city manager and on our discussion with the Lions Club.
As many of you know, our downtown park initially back, I want to say 40 years ago. I mean, I think it was started in 1978, 41 years ago. The Lions Club of Pleasant Grove at the time decided to do a community project and, in essence, take a raw piece of land and turn it into a park. So if you remember, there was a pavilion that was done that was recently taken down. They also did the playground equipment and horseshoe pits and a few other things. So Darlene here has this fantastic scrapbook of pictures, information that she brought to my office the other day. We looked through it. It's pretty amazing. You probably won't have time tonight, but if you do get a moment sometime to look through that, it's really cool just to see how the community came together at that time to do this park. We're redoing our downtown park in conjunction with our new public safety building. The Lions Club has contacted us to have a discussion about how they're going to be represented in the new park. And so as staff have talked to them, we talked about a sign, creating a sign that will be posted somewhere in the park, we haven't decided exactly where, that would recognize the efforts of those people 40-some years ago to build this park. And so that's what you have in front of you. I'm going to have Darlene go over that with you in just a minute. She was the one who wrote this. There are a couple of minor edits that we need to make before we print it. We just want to make sure that the council's okay with what we're trying to do. On this sign, we'll have a Lions Club logo. We'll also have a PG City logo. And then we will have a Lions Club logo that we're going to put on one of our new pavilions in honor of the old pavilion that we took down. And then when we have our ribbon cutting, I think it would be appropriate that the Lions Club would be there and maybe say a few words when that moment comes. Probably sometime in early June, we're hoping to.
Where will these be located in the park?
So the pavilions, we already know where the pavilions are.
Signage.
Yeah, so the signage for this, we haven't decided. We're thinking somewhere near the playground. And so we're still deciding what that looks like. We've got to figure out how big the sign's going to be and then where we want it to be.
Sign, not a plaque or monument.
Yeah, do we think we're going to do a sign? We could, well, I don't know. We could do a plaque. It's just we want to make sure it's visible. We want to make sure that it's big enough print that people can read it. So that's been our thoughts. If the council wants to go a different direction, want us to look more at a plaque type that would, in essence, be hanging in one of the pavilions, we could do that. The idea of a sign was we would have mobility is where we could put it.
I think something a little more.
Yeah. So when they're done, let's have that discussion as to what the council's wishes are in regards to that. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Darlene. She can introduce the rest of the Lions Club here, and then she can talk about the content of what's in what she sent me.
I get to be secretary, and that's the fun part because I love history and the history books. In fact, I learned so much from the history book that the club members had to put together in order to earn the D.A. Skeen Award for this 5-year project that was taking place here in Pleasant Grove. This is Milt Taylor. He's a past district governor and our vice president, and then our president, Joe Taylor. Okay, I went through kind of a paragraph at a time so that you could get a little timeline. In March 1978, the Pleasant Grove Lions Club commenced a project to provide the Pleasant Grove citizens with facilities for the downtown city park. The first project was a 24-foot by 60-foot covered picnic pavilion. The pavilion, with an aluminum paneled roof, electric lighting, metal tables, and barbecue grill, was finished by August 1979. In May 1981, a 3-pit horseshoe pitching court was built. It included 2 4-foot high fences for spectator protection. Along with everyday use, the horse pits were used in September 1981 for the Utah State Horseshoe Pit Tournament. In June 1983, the Lions added to the existing playground with a combination assembly consisting of a spiral slide, straight slide, bars for climbing, tire swings, and a chain climbing net. A concrete retaining wall filled with sand surrounded the playground. In August 1983, a water fountain with a spring-loaded drinking tap and made of an 8-inch diameter concrete pipe was added. The Lions donated 3,435 hours in labor for this 5-year project. Because of all the donations of labor and materials to the project, the total cost of the park was $16,078. The Pleasant Grove Lions Club received the 1984, we're going to change that to Lions State instead of Utah Lions State. Okay, Utah Lions D.A. Skeen Community Service Award for this project. D.A. Skeen was the first Utah Lion to become president of the International Lions Club from 1945 to 1947. He was from Salt Lake City, and he was a liar. And he was the first lion in the state of Utah. No, that's a state of Utah award. But they named it after him because he was the first lion in Utah, the first international president from Utah. And I think he's been the only one. The only one. So. Okay.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you for your work on researching this.
Is there any questions?
Well, yeah, you brought up a water fountain, and I don't know if we accounted for a drinking fountain in the park. So, is it possible to get one in? Okay, awesome. So we are, okay.
I was kind of amazed when they said, you know, an 8-inch diameter concrete pipe was added. I'm going, no wonder it lasted.
Yeah.
That's a lot of water.
It is.
That's great.
Thank you for all your research on this. This is awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, Darlene was a wonderful teacher at Central Elementary. She taught kindergarten, first grade.
Oh, good for you.
She taught all of the Andersons.
Bless you.
Yes, bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. For the Anderson part or the kindergarten part?
And retired shortly thereafter.
Yeah, that's the big one.
So, along with her Lions Club service, she has served our community for a long time.
So much.
Okay, let's have a discussion if the council wants to consider something other than a sign.
By
How big a
define sign.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. So
I was thinking more of like a monument type plaque that maybe like that's over at that's kind of more permanent and that.
So something, yeah, so there's a monument and then it just kind of has.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Kind of written here so that people
right.
can come up and see it.
Right, so it's kind of on a.
By what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, a historic marker.
Yes. Yep. It's like it's on a post and kind of at an angle.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Do we combine that type of a monument? Some time,
yeah, $60,000.
I would love that.
And past that whole.
I love that idea.
Surely like to do something for the future.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, so along those lines, why don't let us work on a price on what that looks like, and so we have our content now, and then if we're going to do something to honor the Fugel family, we'll probably work with you, Mayor, on maybe what that wording says, so that we can have that, and then our intent. So we don't have a date when this thing's going to be ready per se. We're hoping for June 1st. The park, when in essence it's going to be.
If it's May 31st, that's fine too.
And the weather hasn't really been cooperating a whole lot. I think, are we still on schedule, Dion, for June 1? Are we kind of pushing that date a little bit?
Pushing a little bit.
Yeah. Our intent really is to be open before Strawberry Days, which is June 15th or 16th or whenever that starts up. So.
So are we thinking there's going to be some kind of a celebration of the park opening?
Yeah, and so maybe ideally it's part of Strawberry Days.
And I'm thinking maybe that is a perfect time to have that here. I would think either Strawberry Days or I would think
Well,
Heritage
we're going to have
Days.
that
For the record,
breakfast.
we're not giving Dion 2 more weeks. That's not what we're saying.
I mean, we could do it as part of the fireman's breakfast. That's on the
Yeah.
Saturday to
Fireman's
kick off
breakfast.
Strawberry Days.
Good idea.
That's a
People
good
are going to
idea.
be down there anyway, and maybe we could have a ribbon cutting that morning. The car show's been moved to the rodeo grounds.
I don't know, yeah. I
So,
mean,
but the breakfast will be there, and there'll be the first breakfast in the new fire station. We can also do a ribbon cutting for the park.
so
Nailed it.
what-
We're done.
Go sit down,
Done,
Scott.
got
We
that.
got it all figured out. Well, along those lines, I mean, we're just receiving the equipment, and they're going to start installing the playground here somewhat soon. The pavilions are going to start being constructed somewhat soon.
So technically, it'll be in place.
I think so, and I think in about in a month we'll know a lot better where we're at as far as when we can do this. So, and I don't know when the deadline is for Strawberry Days to get on their calendar, so we'll have to work with them on that, because what I don't want is for us to advertise that this thing's going to be open and, well,
Even
we're
if
gonna
conflict
because we're going to talk about our building here in a minute, and it's not quite done, and we're going to be doing our dedication for that, which, so there's possibilities that we can still, there might still be some things that need to be finished, but I mean, once Strawberry Days is there downtown, I mean, unless we're fencing that thing off, there's going to be kids playing on it, so. But those are the timing and the things that right now we're a little bit behind because we're trying to get this concrete in and it's just too wet out there, and that's pushed us back a little bit. So I just want to temper expectations, but we'll work with that intent.
I think it would be very nice to honor the Lions
Yes.
Club.
No, this is a great.
And I think at a moment when a lot of people are there would be.
No, it makes sense.
So there's also Heritage
even if we
Days.
don't get it in the booklet and it doesn't make that deadline on time, we can still advertise it on social media, get the word out, and
That's
people
a
that
good
come
point.
down. So
That's a good point.
we could still do it even if it doesn't,
Oh,
because it is hard to put it in print on something like the Strawberry Days booklet that goes out.
Yeah.
So if we need to, we can make the adjustments. But people are going to be here anyway for
Yeah, but to your point,
breakfast.
we'll already have people here
Right.
because of the breakfast. Okay, we got our direction. So
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
So the next part I need to get on my computer here and pull up, and then
Okay.
Eric's gonna.
And we really appreciate, it's 41 years that you've really made our park livable. So it's,
And we'd like to thank the Pleasant Grove City Council for allowing us to continue that heritage. Not all communities are willing to do that. So we are so very appreciative of what you are allowing us to do. Thank you.
okay.
Thanks for all you do.
There have been a lot of people in that park who have been grateful. That pavilion has served a lot of people. Wow.
Let's put that on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that should be on
I
there.
think that should be
Absolutely.
on there.
When we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
People know that there's a long history there.
You want to write the changes? I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't say a third.
But I do have to say that 1979 was that was also the year I was graduating. So not that I'm old or anything, but
79?
I know. Thank you, Tyler.
I was born that year.
Put him in the back row.
Maybe we could put that on the
Well,
plaque.
I didn't think you were older than I was.
Okay, and while Darlene is here, the 1979, the graduating class of 1979 had the lowest SAT, ACT test scores in the history of test
from
taking.
PG.
Internationally. I'm so proud.
The lowest, you say?
Yeah.
That's probably
The
not
lowest. They literally changed the structure.
Diana, that's probably something you should not in a public meeting.
Wait, what is he saying?
So that's not something you say in a public meeting.
And look at us now.
Us?
Scott, you want me to come up there with you?
Yeah, why don't you come up? Okay.
Don't put us in there.
Okay, our next item is a presentation on a project tracking software. And we have our city manager and
like a press conference.
Councilman Jensen, who is going to do this presentation.
Honorable Mayor and wonderful council, it's good to be with you this evening. We have about a 25,000 foot view of our software tonight, so take that into consideration when you're asking questions.
Okay.
So this is a follow-up from our retreat where we talked about, as we set goals as a city, to have some follow-up and some tracking. So this is a software that it essentially does that. I mean, it's a company that provides this. The cost is, I think, $3,500 a year. They work with other cities, and Eric's going to show you the nuts and bolts. But in essence, what it is, it's tracking for us as staff. So we'll assign various projects to different staff members. They can list the project, and then they can list the goals, the steps in order to achieve that goal with deadlines and things like that. So at any given time, I can pull that up and see where they're at on a project. Or the council will have access. You'll have an ability to view. You won't have an ability to change anything in there. You'll have an ability to view, and if you're curious about a particular project, you can get online. And
was that because of Sid?
It was. This was Sid driven.
More Eric, because he actually knows how to, you know, tap into this stuff.
Sid can't add any. She cannot add any tasks.
No line items.
I was afraid I'd end up with 50 tasks if Eric and Sid had you know, input on this thing. But this is really cool, and so this, I think, is really going to get us where we need to go. Eric and I met with the person that, you know, the company that does this, and Eric, being the tech savvy guy, he has actually gone through and set up kind of something for you to review. So don't get caught up in the actual projects that's listing. This is really just, it's a template to show you what this can look like. So as you see what Eric's going to show you, just keep in mind, if this is the direction we're going to head, that we as staff then will go in and we'll populate this how it needs to be done.
So ad lib is not actually a...
Well, but Eric's done a good job with what he's put in here. I think, again, that's because they're actual projects that we're going to do. But who they're assigned to and how that's going to flow and all that stuff, we'll probably customize that a little bit because we just want you to see that this is exactly what it looks like. So with that, Eric, you want to?
You're going to drive, right?
Okay, well, I'll drive.
You drive.
And you're thinking that who is going to have access to this?
So well, everybody. The main access will be department heads and myself in order for us to track our goals and projects. The council will have access to view. If you ever want to pull it up and say, hey, I wonder where we are in this project, this will get you in here to see where we're at.
It's department driven.
Yeah, so. This is all. This is going to tie in, you know, Kyler's working on setting up a program for our performance measures, so we're going to collect data from the different departments. We're going to be able to use that data to make sure we can provide better service. And so this will all tie into this software as we're tracking what we need to track. And then, I mean, this allows us to do graphs and, you know, types of things that we can turn around and give to you as a council to say, you know, here's the goals we've set. Here's where we're at on the goals. Here's some of the performance measures. These are the things that we're working on.
Covers goals and action items and a strategic dashboard that would show us the whole thing.
Yeah, and so, you know, once Eric kind of tells me where I need to click.
My time's up now. I think we're good,
I've
right?
taken all of Eric's time.
5 more minutes.
We get, okay.
Oh.
All right, I'll hurry. So if everything on this, it's all cloud driven. So everyone will have access. It's all Active Directory driven. And so you'll each have a login with your email, and the password will be emailed to you at a later time with your access. So for privacy and security reasons, Sid. But everything flows off the org chart. And Scott, since he's our city administrator and over the departments, everything flows through Scott, Mr. Darrington, sorry.
Scott is preferable.
So if Scott just clicks on his name and just shows, when you log in, council, you're going to be able to click on Scott from the org chart and be able to go to, I don't want you to do this yet, Scott, but you'll be able to click on goals, and it will take you to the goal-driven agenda that we've created here. If you scroll over just a little bit, Scott, you can see that we've listed everyone, and just because of the way the software's set up, we had to put mayor and us over here to the far right.
Eric added a couple titles for some council members, just so you're aware.
Sid, if I have glasses, if you need them.
What does it say?
By these?
Eric Jensen, City Council Senior Executive. Sid Lamone, City Council Junior Executive.
Is that okay, Council?
The other three didn't even deserve a title. So
No, I'm working on theirs. This
That's
is
the
a little
first one.
special.
Fine, Eric put this together, not
Well, I
me.
notice he's first under the mayor's, so there's your first problem.
Mr. Darrington, what?
Mr. Darrington. So if Scott would click on mission, we don't. When we have time, we'll go through our little exercise, and we'll create our stakeholder needs, our mission. I just put something quick that Pleasant Grove strives to become the best run city in Utah. I think we agree with that, right? Sid?
Well, here's my issue with that, because the goal should be measurable, and there's no way to measure that. So
That's
when you
why I
say
put
we're
it
the
there.
best, we're the best run city,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing to measure that.
Is that like McDonald's saying they have the best hamburgers?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So moving on.
So
Thank you.
Anyway, there's the feedback.
Well, and again, we don't want to get caught up in what.
So vision, values, but if you click on the next one, Scott, strategy, this is where everything is driven from. This is where we go down per department or residence. So residence is number one because that's who we focus on and serve is the residents. And when we get a particular goal that we want to accomplish, we'll put it underneath residents, employees. I just listed some stuff, services, infrastructure, economic development, financial, parks, library, and the list goes on down to number 16. And so if you scroll down, Scott, do we have some underneath? Heckman's not showing. Well, goals. Click on goals. So everything flows from strategy, and then goals we put underneath each of those strategies. So under residents, we have Sid's thing she wants to do is rebranding the city logo and slogan. We have research and solution on deer population that we've talked about a little bit. These are things I've calculated. Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, Councilman.
Can I have one more minute?
You've taken all your allotted time.
You can use some of Scott's.
Okay, I'll use Scott's time.
You may continue. We'll give you some grace tonight, but
Oh,
we
thank
just
you.
want to know,
We're on top of
we hold everybody to a standard.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right.
So you could see, I created one for the open house ribbon cutting for the police and courts building. It's at 80% because we have not officially cut the ribbon, and when we do so, then it'll be 100%. But underneath that, we have what I put program and invites schedule that Scott's in charge of. If you notice, this is who's in charge of that particular strategy or goal. And you can have multiple people underneath that. And so when they go in here and update their particular goal, then it'll start moving this ticker over here and show you when we go in and look where they're at.
So here's my question. So is this going to be things on here that the council's asking staff to do or working with? Because otherwise this could be like 100 pages long with like day-to-day stuff, and we don't need to see all that. So what things are going to be
I think we're going, first we're starting with
like
what
council
our
meetings, things?
Well, no, I think we started off our year
from our
retreat.
that we had.
Okay.
So we have the list of goals that came out of that. That's what we use to populate that.
Okay.
The day-to-day, how we're going to fix water lines and
Right,
stuff.
that's not.
Not even
that could
yeah.
be.
And we might have stuff on here that's a 3-year or 5-year window, but they'll be on there.
Okay.
We'll have a way to track that through time.
Okay.
So, and then if you just keep going down, I just put stuff in here, and that's where either our directors or supervisors or Scott can then start going through here and putting in their goals per our retreat. And that way we as a council and mayor can then go in and see when Sid has a question or Todd has a question, Diana, Todd, that we can go in and take a look at it from a high level and say, and then we can come prepared and say where are we at on that.
But there could be things we discussed during the year in council meeting that we take to you and we can add to the list.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. No, this is a living document. So as we finish things, they'll come off, and because we might sit in a meeting in June and say, hey, I think we need to do this, then we can put it.
Mr. Williams.
So I've worked with a lot of project plans. This looks really nice. Have you used this software before? I've never heard of that.
So Scott had
A couple other cities have used it, and they're
Really?
the ones that told me about it.
Okay.
Well, there's other softwares we looked at that were 3 to 4 or 5 times more expensive, right? This one was more focused on council,
Really?
city driven,
City stuff?
and so that's why we decided to at least look at it, and they've been nice enough to let us actually populate everything and move forward with it until our
So this
new
is just a demo beta, or
But it's
a trial?
actually live. He's actually let us go live
Well,
to a certain degree.
What
so.
they told us is we can demo it for the month of May, April, May, and June, and then we start paying for it in July
Oh.
on our next budget year. So.
And is it paid annually, or is it paid by the?
It's
I think it's
annually.
an annual payment.
Annual.
Yeah,
It's a
$3,500.
$3,500.
Yeah.
So
I
then-
want to know what the directors think.
This is the first they've seen of it.
So if he clicks on grass, but we'll have a dashboard in grass that'll give you a quicker view if you wanted to. That's not really operational yet, but
So just a couple of questions right off the top is, thank you. A couple of questions right off the top of my head are how much time it's going to take, the time restraints to put the information in, and who would that be?
so I took last Saturday. I took approximately about 20 minutes and did this, everything you saw.
Wow.
I think this. I would see this as a huge. I like it, but I'm kind of interested in Marty's thought. I'm interested in Tyler's thoughts. What's that?
I think almost everything had your name on it, Marty.
Yeah, I mean, for you, I think for you and Tyler and probably Dion, that's, there are some huge things there.
Not every single project you have going on. I mean, this is the retreat and some, it's not every single.
How depth?
Because I think the whole idea behind this was that when we discuss something either in council or the retreat, that there's a way that we can follow up on the discussion instead of like it gets talked about and then it just kind of falls off the radar. And so I don't expect every single project you do to be on here because that would be, I think, overwhelming and very time consuming. But the major stuff that we've been approached maybe as council members, from community members, or things that have been, that we're trying to accomplish and we need your help, that's what I see this being.
I think from the retreat we had about probably 20 to maybe 30 items.
Oh, yeah.
Split up amongst everyone.
Well, there's a ton
Everyone.
of, I guess to this point is we're going to focus on what the priorities are for the council, and that's what's on there. We talked about a lot of things.
Probably is
in the retreat.
email notifications as well, based upon status.
Yes.
So.
Well, and one example would be we had the discussion, and so this would be one for Kyler, is that we had that discussion about the overtime and how much. I mean, Todd, you asked him to get some more research on that. That's something like we'd see on here. Like, I don't think we need to see the day-to-day and, even weekly. It's kind of those bigger projects that we want to tackle so we know where we're at, so what we're trying to accomplish doesn't get lost as well.
That's right. And, I mean, I like this regardless of the council using this as a follow-up tool, I just like the functionality of this. The hard part is we got to populate it to start, and that is going to take a ton of time. And so it's just going to take a little bit of time to get functional because our department heads are already plenty busy with other things, but I'll be sitting down one-on-one with them. We're going to talk about the projects. We're going to get them in there, but it will take us a couple months. I'm hoping by July 1. Now I know Dion's not going to have 2 seconds before July 1st to sit down and do this.
You mean July 1st, 2021?
Yeah, maybe.
Because we've got him busy until then.
But to that point, I mean, we just asked for some patience on your end as we get this thing populated and get it.
Sid,
up
I
and
gave him till the end of May to populate this. So there we go. We're good.
But as a tool, I think it's good for us to kind of just stay on task. And one of the things we run into as staff is the day-to-day most of the time overwhelms us. And this is why when Sid talks about, we talk about things in the retreat and then they don't happen, it's because we're just barely trying to get through the day-to-day.
Right.
And so we have some things out here that we'd love to get to, but if I've got fires in front of me today, I'm just not worried about what we're looking at out here.
There's a management, an executive management kind of focus here that you get lost in the whirlwind of the days. Unless you really write them down as wildly important goals or wigs or rocks, or there's Blanchard, Covey, there's all of them, right? But the principles are the same. You get stuck in the whirlwind of email or just the duties of the day, and you forget all the things that are really important, and why it's important to move our city forward in this type of thing. I like this. I'm a little nervous about time. I'm a little nervous about I don't want to be in your business. I don't. That's Scott's job, right? I don't want to. I don't want us to manage your task.
Well, and that's why you don't have an ability
Yeah.
to change anything
Yeah.
in there. You just have an ability to view it if you're
But,
curious.
but at the same time, Todd, but that's why we
to
had
get
the
updates.
retreat, though.
Yeah, but to get updates on the items that we specifically want to talk about, especially in the retreat, yeah, I think probably is it an unlimited license? It's an unlimited user license.
User license, yes.
Yeah, the price is, for what we're trying to accomplish, the price is good.
So again, it's the 25,000 foot view for us, right? That we can come in and see where we at when we talked about certain items on the retreat, and we get updates and email updates.
Let's do it. What can we do to help you?
Well, at this point, if we're okay with this concept, we'll work with the company to put things in place. Denise is going to go over our budget in just a minute. We're not accounting for that in the budget right now. Now, $3,000 is easier to absorb than $30,000, so we can talk about what that means. But we just want to make sure that in concept, this is something that you're okay with. So, if there's no objections, then we'll move forward on that.
Okay.
We're very honest. After Sid, it's me.
Right now.
I'll let you guys figure out the hierarchy as to who's
It's
in
tenure.
charge of what.
That if we're sticking to that.
You know, Lynn worked for the city a long time. You know,
Yeah,
before he was on the council.
Not in this chair.
Yeah, that's true. So next up is Denise on our budget, and we're not going to be able to get through everything before we get to council. So I don't know if we want to have her go for a few minutes, and then we'll take a break at 5:50ish or 5:45, which is 5 minutes. But I mean, we do have a little bit of time for her to get started. So let's do that, and then we'll bring her back when we finish our action items in our city council meeting to finish up on the budget discussion.
Okay, let's do that.
So maybe we, Sid, work on the one pager first.
Do that. It's out there on the Dropbox too, but someone made it.
Thank you. Junior member.
Junior member, yeah. Because he needed paper stuff. Okay, so I gave you the one pager. And then behind that, we'll talk later, I gave you actually utility rate stuff. The only thing that I didn't print out is the fee schedule. But it's, I'll send you an email of just the pages that we're going to be changing, but it's like 20 pages. I don't think we want to go through every line because we're not changing every line. So one pager, not much has changed. Added a few things, still working through some things. On the right-hand side, under the revenue use, you'll see something that we talked about last time was possibly giving the employees a 3% raise instead of a 2%. So I moved that down into there. That's the 107. Kathy attended her conference and found out if we're going to do vote by mail, which they're going to talk about later, that it's going to cost us more money than we have budgeted. We have $48,000 budgeted, so we're going to need additional $11,764. I didn't really see that. I mean, basically the postage just itself is like $1.80 per election per registered voter is the cost that they're charging us.
Postage, was it return?
Postage
return?
is, yeah, and then you're doing the return. So it's basically,
There's postage out and postage in.
Yeah, so it's $1.80 just per registered voter per active voter per election, and then generally we're going to have the two. So that's where our number's coming from. Yeah, if we don't have a primary, we'll save money, but that's what we don't know until after the budget. Yeah, till June 7th, and so I guess we could change it if we needed to. But so we'd probably have enough if we don't have that, but we won't know that for another month or so. The other thing is that I know that Scott's been working with Dion about the median maintenance, and the bid came back for that $108,000.
Yeah, let me explain. So one of the things we looked at was just straight up bidding out the median maintenance, so our employees wouldn't do it anymore. We just have a company that full year-round. When I say year-round, it wasn't year-round, Dion. Was it like 5 months? 5 months where they would.
The Williams family would like to do it. Submit a bid, please.
Okay. But in essence, they would be the ones that would handle the medians. They'd be the ones doing the weeding and taking care of all that. So we've implemented it here in the budget. Right now, we're $138,000 off. And so we don't see that this is something that we could fund this year as staff anyway. Again, this comes to priorities of the city council and really the level of service that you would want. Now, as we've talked about as staff, what we'd like to propose is that our people keep doing it, but if we get behind, we will have these guys on contract that we could hire them for a given day or two to help get us caught back up if we have a trouble spot or whatever.
So do you have a list of the bids and like how many did we get and what did it include and how many medians, and is there a way that we can look at that?
So I think the bid was for all the medians, it's for everything. It's for all of our medians.
But like we have some that are going to be taken out and some that, I mean, and did it include?
It included everything we currently have. It didn't include anything that is right now planned to be taken out. What we're having taken out though would affect that price some, but
This is like 30,000 more than last year. So how are we up that much? So did we?
Like Scott said, do the whole thing, but this was last.
So did we get other bids, or just one?
Is this the same company that does Linden's?
this is who does Linden, yeah.
Could we look at a couple other companies and just see? I mean,
We can. The number, if I have a guess, I mean, it could come down some, but we're talking, I guess in my mind, we're talking philosophical, we're talking level of service.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is something you really want us to pursue, the full-time maintenance of this is the ballpark that we're going to be dealing with as far as a number. If you're okay that our employees keep maintaining it and that we use this group as a backup, then that's one way of doing it. And that's what we're proposing to you, is that if we get behind, then we can engage them and they'd come in and help us get caught up. They could help with the spring clean just right from the start and a fall clean right at the end when there's certain things that we need to have done.
Was that a different bid included with that?
No, that's included in the 108,000.
So could we break that off and see what it would take to get it cleaned up?
We've asked them to bid now.
That's what the 100.
No, that's what we've switched it to. This is the one.
We're
108.
waiting for another bid right now.
Yeah,
okay.
The 108 is everything.
So when you say spring and fall cleanup, what does that include? Like removal of dead trees, bushes, shrubs, everything?
Well, so that's the discussion. I mean, if the solution is we hire somebody in our parks, which already needs another individual, not even for the maintenance, as we continue to add more landscaping to our community, that is one way to tackle that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to contract 108,000.
No, we agree. I mean, that's why we were looking for a different
But we also
solution.
can't keep them how they are because with the new businesses coming in, I mean, it doesn't look good for the gateway to our city. They're just become overgrown. It doesn't just need maintenance. It needs to go in and have a major overhaul on those medians. And so how do we get there so we can make sure that gateway is presentable?
Are you suggesting that we somewhat kind of just take out what we have and redo it?
I think we simplify.
I don't necessarily think we have the money right now to redo a lot of, but we could do a really simple landscape. I mean, there's a lot of dead trees and shrubs and garbage, and there's just things that could be removed. All the medians. It could just be cleaned up right now and already look a lot better without having to replant and spend money on new shrubs and trees at this point. But I think if we clean up what we have, that will help. but it's so overgrown. It's just, it needs some attention, and it needs, with all those new businesses coming in, we have the hotels and the restaurants, and that needs to be, in my opinion, a priority and focal point in the city as people are coming into our community.
I would, let's look at.
Okay,
Well,
but what I'm going back to is right now we're $138,000 out of balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's put that in the plan for next year. Let's off this year. Add it for next year, but I think we need to.
So along those lines, for this year, what we would like to do as staff is kind of what we had proposed, is these guys, we'll have them on call if we get behind. If you guys are driving through there and you're like, these guys are behind, they need to get it done, then we can call up the landscaping company and they'll come in and help us for a day or two and just get taken care of. So there's going to be a cost to that. We don't necessarily know what that cost is yet. That's the bid we're waiting on. But what we want to know today is, can we step away from the full-time landscape thing?
Yes, and I think we do, like Sid was saying, we simplify it. We take out some of that garbage in there. I mean,
So
some
the
of those
garbage
bushes.
is an everyday deal? That's not a one-time deal?
No, I'm just saying, what I call them garbage bushes. They just collect
You're
garbage.
talking about the old plants.
Just get them out of there, and let's just simplify it and put in some of that easy tall grass in there. Yes,
So,
Dion.
As far as the overall,
But what can we do this year, even though we don't have, how can we?
our plan is to engage these guys to help us.
But I mean, even if we don't engage them, is there a plan in place with our own parks people? And I know that there's a lot going on with the care tax and the parks, but what can we do so we're trying to maintain what we have this year as well?
so we've already done pre-emergent, which a lot of the bushes that you see now, they're still dormant, so they may look, but there are quite a few bushes. They have been removing quite a bit of the dead.
Okay. So you
Can I
got
just
some-
remind
Got some numbers.
Scott, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
next year, talking with UDOT a couple weeks ago, they're planning to reconstruct Pleasant Grove Boulevard from North County up to the interchange. So that's a big portion of median that's all going to be redone based on their current plan. We don't know, we haven't started any conversations about what it's going to look like. Obviously, the city has put a lot of money and effort into what is there. We'll have to negotiate as far as what we get when they're done. Medians were looking much smaller based on their concept plan for the layout of that road to get all the lane configuration and what they're trying to accomplish with that project. I was told the funding's available in July of 2020, which means they could start designing and money would be available for a project as soon as next summer. So that's going to affect some of it, not all of what we're talking about, but a good portion of that entryway that you're discussing. I think we're going to have an opportunity to discuss what do we want here, because it's going to be all changing from the interchange to North County Boulevard in that section. So just be aware of that.
And same with State and
State Street's all redone next spring as well. But
I just think to Dion's point, that's why it makes sense for us to get back together in July or August and kind of game plan for next year. We'll have the UDOT information. We'll know which medians we're going to be taking out. And then we can get some feedback from you on kind of what you want those medians to look like. Because that's probably part of it as staff, is I think we have an idea of what we want it to look like, but I don't know if that coincides with what the council wants those medians to look like. So.
Okay. And we'll reconvene. So thanks, Denise. And I'd like a motion to adjourn from our work session and take a 10-minute recess before we start our.
I make that move.
Second.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Sid had it.
Oh, Sid had it. Oh, okay.
Second.
Missed that. We had a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned till 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Well, they did that.
On the back, it has my. You knew who you were.
We're testing you.
So,
Need a couple of copies to share.